If you make music with MIDI, you know that just triggering notes isn't the whole story. Virtual instruments and even synthesizers can sometimes feel a little unreal compared to, organic instruments. One way to add some life and realism to these instruments is through continuous controllers like mod wheels or expression pedals. And yes, while Lumatone does have both of those, it also has a whopping 280 other continuous controllers, and they are baked right here into the keys. So let's talk about how we can all get a little bit more control in our lives. Hey all, Dave again here with Lumatone, and today we're going to talk about one of Lumatone's amazing modes of expression, the continuous controller, also referred to as a CC. Like a MIDI note, CCs are MIDI messages sent using values between 0 and 127. These 128 different values could represent anything from the volume of a note to a synth's filter cutoff or LFO speed, or even a violin's vibrato. Really any parameter you can think of that is controlled within a virtual instrument or analog synth. Now this is usually done by assigning a CC to a knob or a fader, a pedal, or a mod wheel. But in the case of the Lumatone, thanks to its unique Hall effect keys, we can assign a CC to any of these 280 keys. Basically, you can turn any key into a sensitive fader that can modulate any aspect of sound. Let's start by showing you how to transform a simple key into one of these magical hexagons of majestic control. Okay, so I've already done a video detailing the ins and outs of how this Lumatone editor software works. So if you haven't seen that, you can check that out in the link below. But here's how you transform a key into a CC on any Lumatone mapping. So have a mapping pulled up in your editor software and head over to the manual assign section. Since we're only looking at a CC, we'll be sure to only have the key type, CC controller box checked, and the corresponding CC number box. But maybe we want to give it its own key color as well, so it stands out. So we'll have that box checked as well. And just here where we select our CC number, take a look at this handy down arrow icon here. This allows us to choose if we want the values of the CC to either ascend up the value range as we slowly press into the key, or descend. So say we wanted to control the dynamics of a string ensemble. We'd probably want the CC to be at its lowest value before triggering, and then ascend up the dynamic range as we move down the key travel, giving us that swelling effect that strings do so well. So let's try to accomplish that. So we'll leave this icon in the arrow down position so the value increases with the key press. And now we can decide which CC number we want to assign. It's important to note that some CC nodes are already by default used for some common parameters. For example, the mod wheel is by default set to CC1. CC1 is also commonly used to control the dynamics of virtual string instruments, whereas CC11 is commonly used to control its expression, which is basically a percentage of volume that can help push your instrument a little bit further. So for this example, let's stick to the already defined CCs of 1 and 11 to give our MIDI string some movement. Select CC1, and we'll give it its own color. And go to the Anderson palette here and go with a green. Let's place this somewhere on the board where we can easily access it. Maybe somewhere where we're playing a nice full chord. This should do it. Now we can see the key is turned to CC1, and we'll do the same for CC11. Give that its own color, maybe this color right here. What would you call that? A pewter? No. I actually don't know what color pewter is. Anyway, let's go ahead and put that somewhere close by, maybe in section 2 on the far side of it, right here. And we now have 2 CCs included in this mapping. Okay, say we want to get those strings swelling like I mentioned. Let's pull up a virtual string instrument, in this case Abbey Road 2 by Spitfire. We'll see here there are faders that control the expression and the dynamics. And if we hit our CC1, we're controlling the dynamic fader. And our CC11, we're controlling the expression. So we're now in full control of this instrument. All right, let's see what we can make happen. But let's say we want to use some CCs that aren't already defined. By default, MIDI numbers 20 to 31 are some of the ones that don't have a home. So let's assign multiple CCs and see how we can get them to communicate with a virtual instrument. So we'll go ahead and do the same process as before. Start with CC20. Let's give that maybe a nice bright yellow. And maybe we'll put that right here. CC21, let's give that this orange color here, and we'll put that right over here. CC22, give it this nice red. Head over to section 3, maybe our right hand will handle this one. And we'll put that right here. And finally, CC23, maybe with the polarity inverted to allow it to descend in value as we press the key. Bright green color, and we'll put that right over here. Beautiful. All right, and we've got our 4 CCs across the board, and we will pull up a soft synth. Here's a great option by output called analog, brass, and winds. Here we see 4 different parameters. We've got shape, filter, tone, and talk. So now we just simply right-click the parameter that we want to assign. See here, Learn MIDI CC, click that. Once that's clicked, all we have to do is engage the physical CC on our board. And now we see we are controlling that parameter. Now, if your virtual instrument or DAW doesn't have this option, look for how your specific DAW goes about learning CCs. But we will do that for the remaining parameters. And here with the talk, was the one we inverted. You can see it's at its full value, and when we press it down, it descends. Okay, let's give that a go. Maybe you want to control a mod wheel and a CC key at the same time. Your mod wheel could control the dynamics of a violin, where a close CC key could control the vibrato with your thumb. So let's assign a CC right next to the mod wheel, which would be in section 1, right about here. That should fit my thumb just fine. Okay, yeah, maybe let's try to write a little lead violin line over that string ensemble we started earlier. Or what if you want to get crazy with the panning on a synth? You like tweaking filters? Or maybe you just need to gurgle your phalange. So you get the idea. This turns your Lumatone into an expression powerhouse, giving life to any virtual instrument, or giving your fingertips access to your analog synths knobs without ever taking your hands off the Lumatone. Any parameter you can think of, controlled from anywhere on the board that you'd like. And the more you start trying out different configurations, the more you start to find different ways to articulate and express your creativity. CCs are just one mode of expression that's built into the Lumatone. In the coming videos, I'll be covering polyphonic aftertouch and Lumatone's one-of-a-kind feature, Lumatouch. Hitting like and subscribe will let you know when those videos drop. So stay tuned. Thanks for watching.